Welcome back. We're getting a divorce. The divorce papers are inside the house. I had just returned home, holding my newborn daughter in my arms. Greeted coldly with those words and left dumbstruck by the sudden announcement, my husband attempted to leave the house. In a moment of desperation, I grabbed his arm, seeking an explanation. What do you mean? I can't understand what you say without any explanation. It's nothing. Just that I don't love you anymore, that's all. His words left me in utter despair. Was I the only one excited about the life ahead as a family of 3, now that our child was safely born? And without ever glancing at his child's face, my husband left, carrying a large suitcase. My name is Brenda, a 35-year-old homemaker. I'm somewhat timid, and was drawn to my husband's assertive nature, which led to our dating. A year later, prompted by my pregnancy, we got married. And then, with the sound of our baby's first cries, I finally met our little angel, weighing 6.6 pounds. A healthy girl, my adorable baby. After sending a photo of our daughter to my husband, I called him, only to be met with unbelievable words. What's this? Excuse me? She's not cute. In fact, she looks like a monkey. What are you talking about? She's your daughter. After that, my husband's responses ceased, and he wouldn't answer my calls. I was simply shocked, unable to comprehend why he would say such things to our child. Looking back, my husband had shown little interest in the baby during the pregnancy, always seeming distant. Despite my growing anxiety over his indifferent attitude, I endured severe morning sickness and ignored it. During my hospital stay after giving birth, my husband never visited, increasing my worries. I kept telling myself, if he sees our child, he will surely change. But my hopes were never realized. My husband left me and our newborn daughter behind. In such times, I had no one to turn to. What am I supposed to do? I have no parents, only my in-laws. My father-in-law is gentle and kind, but my mother-in-law is quite harsh, and frankly, I've always felt uneasy around her. Brenda, how long do you plan to stay a homemaker? Don't be lazy just because you're pregnant. Don't rely on your husband, get a skill and work. But Chad said he wanted me to take care of the home. I don't want to hear excuses. You need to balance work and childcare. Understand. Our poor relationship made it clear I couldn't rely on my in-laws. Despite feeling helpless, I went to put my daughter in her crib, only to be met with an eerie sight. What's this? The crib and all the baby essentials we had prepared, along with the furniture, were gone. All that was left were my few belongings and the divorce papers on the floor. I couldn't stand there any longer and collapsed to the floor. Then, my husband called. Could it be he reconsidered the divorce? Surely, he's coming back. I quickly picked up the phone, filled with hopeful anticipation. Hello? Is that you? Where are you now? Please come back soon. I forgot to mention, I sold that house. You need to leave by tomorrow. You're joking, right? What are we supposed to do? Maybe become homeless? I was in shock. How much more does my husband need to hurt me to be satisfied? Unable to contain my emotions, I sobbed and demanded an explanation from him. Suddenly saying we're getting a divorce, and now even the house. What did I do to deserve this? Have you looked in the mirror since you got pregnant? What do you mean by that? I thought I was living with a ghost. Your face was so pale every day. Laughing through his nose, my husband continued in a cold tone. I married you because you were always so compliant. But now, I regret it. What? I'm tired of your timid personality, so I want a divorce. That's just cruel. It's so selfish. I have nothing more to say to you. Just pack your stuff and get out of the house. Goodbye. At that moment, I felt hatred towards my husband for the first time. But no matter how much I condemned him, it wouldn't change my current situation. Feeling listless yet compelled to act, I decided to leave the house to buy diapers and milk that had disappeared. However, my daughter, who had been sleeping peacefully until now, suddenly started crying and wouldn't stop no matter how much I tried to soothe her. Perhaps she could sense my frantic emotions after being betrayed by my husband and losing our home. As I sat on a bench in the nearby park trying to calm my daughter, an unexpected person appeared. Newborns under a month-old shouldn't be taken outside. How irresponsible can you be? Act like a mother. Mill. Really? You understand nothing. What would you do if something happened to this child? It seems my mother-in-law, knowing the day of my discharge, had come to our home and, finding no one there, followed the sound of my baby's cries and found me. I was scolded thoroughly by my mother-in-law, and as a whirlwind of emotions overtook me, I started crying with sobs. Then, I felt a warm touch on my back. I didn't mean to make you cry. But why are you out here? Where's Chad? What happened? Tell me everything. My mother-in-law gently rubbed my back, trying to console me. Confused by her kindness, which I had never seen before, I slowly shared everything that had happened. Chad did what? Unforgivable. If you have nowhere to live, come to my house. But... enough. Come on, I'll carry your bags. Let's go. Led by my mother-in-law, I went to my in-laws' home. Upon arrival, she surprised me with her words. Let's live together from now on. What? You have nowhere to go, right? Planning to become homeless with a baby? Here, at least you'll be sheltered from the rain, and you'll have food. Let's do it. I was at a loss for words. This was a complete turnaround from someone who had always treated me coldly and with disdain. As I struggled to find words, my mother-in-law showed a remorseful smile. I've been cold to you until now, haven't I? I'm truly sorry. No, it's... I kept telling Chad that he needs to act like a father. Yet, this happens. I'm so sorry for not being able to help. It's not your fault, Mil. Please, lift your head. My mother-in-law slumped her shoulders, bowing her head to me and refusing to raise it. In a flurry of confusion, I decided to voice the question that suddenly popped into my mind. I always thought that you hated me. That's why you were so cold towards me. But, is there another reason? The thing is, seeing you was like looking at my past self. I couldn't stand it. At that moment, I came to know a truth I had never known before. That my quiet and kind father-in-law had been a flirt in his youth. And that my husband, resembling his father's personality, often found himself in trouble over women. Finally, my mother-in-law said, all I wanted was for you to become a strong and resilient mother. That's why I was deliberately harsh. I kept telling you to learn a trade so that in case of a divorce, you wouldn't struggle to make a living. There was a reason behind her prickly words. Knowing now that my mother-in-law was actually a warm-hearted person, I was overwhelmed with gratitude. But why didn't you divorce Fil? I couldn't stand infidelity. I would have definitely divorced him. That's because I was the one supporting the household. What do you mean? He looked down on me when I was a stay-at-home wife, flirting around. But, out of spite, I started working too. Then, I began to earn more than him. He didn't want to lose the comfortable life, so he became submissive, not wanting a divorce from me. So, the person he is now, is after his reflection? Exactly. Plus, I thought this was the best punishment for him, better than a simple divorce. As I engaged in such conversation with her, my cheeks relaxed without me realizing. But then, her expression turned serious all of a sudden. By the way, about Chad suddenly saying he wants a divorce. Could it be because he's having an affair, planning to be with someone else? Haven't you noticed anything odd about his behavior? Honestly, I have no clue. But I can't just do nothing and go through with a divorce. I took out the divorce papers I had brought from home from my bag. Oh, what's this? Upon seeing the papers, my mother-in-law and I exchanged glances. Then, we made a decision and began to plan. The next day, my mother-in-law called my husband to execute the plan. I heard from Brenda that you're divorced. Did she already tell you? What are you talking about? I'm thrilled. It's good that you divorced such a woman. Next, marry someone younger and wonderful. Yeah, right. I don't ever want to see her gloomy face again. She's probably living under a bridge by now. How pitiful. My husband was thoroughly convinced that my mother-in-law hated me. Furious at his elation, unbeknownst to him that I was listening. But he has a hell waiting for him. Actually, I have someone I want you to meet. Oh, you've already found your next spouse? Sure have. That's wonderful. I'll give you a wedding gift. A $10,000 CD will mature in a month, and I'll give it all to you as a gift. Really? Of course. But in return, make sure to introduce her to me properly. Don't rush into getting married before that, all right? Got it. I'll bring her to your home in a month. Please make sure about the gift. My mother-in-law's acting skills were incredible. My husband fell right into our plan, and my mother-in-law and I shared a satisfied look. I decided to make preparations quietly until that day arrived. A month later, unaware of the trap, my husband arrived at his parents' home, proudly with a young woman. I opened the front door with a firm attitude and greeted them, "Welcome." "What are you doing here?" My husband was shocked to the point of nearly falling over, and the woman looked utterly confused. Then, my mother-in-law joined in, "Come in," her commanding tone overwhelming them, and they timidly entered the living room. "Mom! What's going on here?" "Well, Brenda, shall we begin?" In a flurry of determination, I presented several photos of them entering a hotel together and a report detailing my husband's activities over the past month. "I'm going to sue you both for damages. With this much evidence, you can't talk your way out of it. Be prepared." "Hold on a minute. How did you gather all this evidence?" Emmael covered the cost for a detective. She said it's best to leave this kind of thing to the professionals. "Mom, why would you help someone like her?" "Oh, am I wrong? To abandon your wife and child to remarry another woman, who would support such an unreasonable person? What about the $10,000 you promised for our wedding? That was a lie to prevent you from submitting the marriage registration for a month. You tricked me." My husband's fury was palpable, and the woman beside him twisted her face in regret, undoubtedly thinking this wasn't supposed to happen. I thought I had finally managed to punish them both. But then, my husband uttered something unbelievable. "We're already divorced. You can't sue for adultery now. Just like Chad said. I absolutely won't pay any damages." Their brazen confidence left me dumbfounded. The statute of limitations for filing for damages due to adultery is 3 years after discovering the affair. Unaware of such common knowledge, they smugly boasted, prompting me to reveal a shocking truth. "Actually, we're still married." "What? The divorce papers you left behind? I haven't submitted them yet." "Why didn't you submit them immediately?" "I couldn't agree to a divorce without any explanation, especially after you left the house that day with such a terrible parting gift." As they looked at each other in confusion, I thrust a document at them. "This is your marriage registration, isn't it? I thought I lost that. Why do you have it?" "It was underneath the divorce papers you left. To leave something like this behind, you're really careless, aren't you?" Indeed, the document I confronted them with was their filled-out marriage registration. Discovering it made my Emmael, and I realized my husband intended to marry his affair partner. We decided not to divorce immediately, but to gather evidence of his adultery while our marriage was still legally recognized. "I will never forgive you for abandoning our family. And you, Celine, you will pay the damages." As I declared this, my husband's face turned ashen. However, the woman seemed oddly triumphant. "Good, if you're divorcing him, that's all I wanted." "What?" "Because Chad is rich. He can pay whatever damages you want, right?" Hearing her words, I finally understood the odd feeling about my husband. He's not a high earner. Yet, after a month, he reappeared decked out in designer clothes. He must have pretended to be wealthy to his mistress, selling furniture, baby items, and even our house to spend on her. Unfortunately, he's not rich. What are you talking about? His take-home pay is around $1,800 per month, which is quite low for his age. I'm his wife, so I'm certain of it. What? That's totally different from what I heard. Chad, is what she's saying true? Why so pale? You look like a ghost. Don't freeze up, tell Celine the truth yourself. Silent and downcast, the woman, enraged by his betrayal, declared their engagement over. Our engagement is off. I have no use for a man without money. Wait, please. Don't abandon me. I had never seen my husband so pitiful. As soon as the woman announced their breakup, he was on his knees, begging for forgiveness. Enough. Take your argument elsewhere. Leave now. My shout silenced them both. Then, finally, my MAL spoke. Chad, you're no longer my son. Mom? What do you mean? I'm disowning you. Take that woman and leave at once. Never show your face to us again. Understood? Intimidated by our stern looks, they stiffened. After forcing them to sign an agreement for damages and child support, they fled. I submitted the divorce papers that day, ending our marriage. As expected, my ex-husband and his mistress parted ways. He had even delved into loan sharking to maintain the illusion of wealth, leading to his dismissal after collection calls reached his workplace. Now, juggling day jobs, he's saddled with paying $20,000 in damages and $300 a month in child support. Of course, I also demanded $15,000 in damages from his mistress, who, burdened by her debt, fell into a nightlife I'd rather not detail. On a more positive note, my relationship with my mother-in-law, once strained, has now flourished. After the divorce left me without close family, she suggested, why don't we live together, a kindness I've gratefully accepted. Starting a new job and balancing it with parenting, I feel myself gradually changing. It's undoubtedly because I've become a mother, gained someone to protect, and have my mother-in-law's example to follow. I look forward to spending tranquil days with my beloved daughter and in-laws, cherishing them for a lifetime.